Did you guys really?
No, we want to.
All right.
Anybody's got fireballs?
Welcome to the first annual. Welcome to the celebration of Monty's life. I just want to thank everybody for coming. The response has been really, really overwhelming. Like, we really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If anyone doesn't know me, I'm Brenda. I'm the middle. My much older sister, Lori.
Much younger son, Grant.
Grant, who just looks much older. In the Vialoux fashion, we're probably going to go on and on and on. That's just who we are. We decided to have the gathering here at the Beaches Community Center because Monty believed in community and being involved in community. It's a celebration of life because Monty had such an appreciation for life and living. He woke up every day with purpose. He was very ill. He spent 1.5 years in the hospital. But he still enjoyed waking up. He enjoyed his meals. He enjoyed his newspaper. He enjoyed the hospital staff, and he enjoyed any visitor that was able to come and see him, which was rare because of COVID. My mom was totally committed to his care.
Don't cry. Don't do that shit.
She would be there for him, feeding him when he couldn't eat. She would put a cold cloth on his face when he needed it. She would always encouraged him to get strong so he could come home. That's what we wanted, but it wasn't to be. By the way, Monty and Jean would be married 57 years next weekend. How you asked, did they last that long? Monty drank. Jean gambles. So today we're just hoping to celebrate in the way Monty would want it, with humor. If you knew Monty, you knew several of his shitty jokes, and you've heard them over and over again. Phoning him every Father's Day to, oh, which one are you? That got a little monotonous. So get your Monty stories ready, because we would encourage anyone with a heartfelt or funny story to please share it at the end of the program. That's what this is all about. I have to do some housekeeping. So the washrooms, out the door, to the right. In the program, it says the reception was going to take place in the ball field. We would have loved to have had this in the ball diamond, but weather didn't allow it. Everything will take place here. There will be hot dogs and burgers and lots of desserts from all the people in the community, tea, coffee, what else? Afterwards, anybody that would like to go to the Birchwood, she's fine. We'll be having a final toast to Monty at the Birchwood at 4:15, 4:30. Okay, and that's it. So, first off, I want to invite up Jack Gillespie. Jack Gillespie is my dad's oldest friend. He was the best man at the wedding, and he's Lori's godfather. So he'd like to say a few words.
Thanks, Jack.
I had forgotten that next weekend would be the 57th wedding anniversary. Of course, I was there, being in the wedding party, and it seems like yesterday, so I thought I'd add that. But as far as reading the obituary, so I'm very, very happy to be asked to present this obituary and a couple of comments later on. But it was after a lengthy and complicated battle with diabetes, Monty passed away peacefully, surrounded by family, on August 21st, 2022, at the age of 81. And after, as mentioned, 1.5 years of various hospitals, Pine Falls, Pinawa, Health Sciences Center, back to Pinawa, Bedell Home, Selkirk Hospital, he got to know that Eastern Manitoba medical system, to his chagrin most of the time. But Monty began his colorful career in Bassett. He would always consider home in his heart. Bassett was always in his heart. It was there that he began his varied and diverse career with a path that would take him all over Manitoba. He worked in the mill for San Antonio Gold Mines, and then he came out and worked in East Selkirk. Any of you that came up the northbound lane of 59 highway from 44 to Lebo would have driven over a gravel base that Monty scaled from the pit at East Selkirk in the summer of '62. And he, even with a full plate, he was always a dedicated, I called him a good steward. He was a steward. And to use a term that I might use in our part of the world, he left the wood pile a lot higher. And it was just something that he did. Another thing that I have to say about him is that he was wasn't what you'd call a perfectionist, but he wanted and demanded excellence at all the time. One of the things that really drove him crazy was the term, "it's good enough." He'd say, "Why is it good enough? It's not good enough. It isn't the best. It's not good enough." And he said, "That just drives me crazy." And that was how he approached life. He approached life looking for the best. I'd also like to put forward that besides being a steward, and a good steward for all that he touched, and also dedicated to excellence, that he was someone who told me many times, I learned from everything I did. I learned from every job. There was no job that I would learn from better than, it just was something I learned from. I'll tell you one story that we were living, and you see many pictures of it, 716 Gordon, Suite 14, back in the day, when we were both single and laid off from the highway department. He got a job as a beer waiter at the Brooklands Hotel, and he would rent 6 shirts every week from Perth's, and he'd have those 6 white shirts delivered. And then he'd send back the 6 white shirts that he'd used before. He was dressed up in his white shirt, his black bow tie, his black pants, his black shoes, and he was professional right from day one. Also, I guess that's probably where he decided excellence was his ball game. And it's been a wonderful 60 years. I first met him in Bassett when he was 20 or 19 years old. I was 19 years old. I could go in the beer parlor because they didn't know me, and he couldn't because they knew him well. So he'd stand in the doorway and shake his fist at us. But just to finish with one of his funny sayings that he was, in our conversation, he'd say, "Well, Jack, the golden age has come at last. The golden age can kiss my ass." And I'd like to thank the family, Jean and Laurie, Brenda, Grant, for asking me to do this. It's been my privilege. It's been a wonderful ride, Monty, all these years. So rest high upon that mountain, my good friend. Thank you so much.
All right, my turn. Well, I feel like I'm back at Birchwood because I'm going to be inviting 2 people that many of us have watched for years and years perform at Birchwood. And I couldn't think of two better people to come up here and play a tribute song to my dad, so please welcome Harry, Shannon, David.
Put my eyes on.
You didn't have to do that back in the day.
No, I didn't have to do that back then.
I know you're fine. On earth was trouble. Only you know pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain, son. Your work on earth is done. Go to heaven, shouting. Look for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered around the great tree. Wish I could see the angels faces when they hear your sweet song sing. Go rest high on that
So, next on the agenda, we are going to call up my Uncle Doug. He is favorite, yeah, we've been brainwashed since like, oh my God, so many years. My Uncle Doug is the youngest brother of the 5 boys, and I think my Uncle Doug and my dad were probably 2 peas in a pod. Come on up.
Thank you, Laurie. Often referred to as bookends.
Yes.
Okay. As Laurie mentioned, I'm Monty's youngest brother. There were 5 brothers, with Monty being the oldest. And I have some notes here, but I'm going to stray off a little bit. One thing Monty, a pet peeve of Monty's when somebody would phone him and they'd say, "Is this Monty Vialoux?" And his answer was, "Have you ever heard of a car called a Grand Prix?" Monty grew up in Bissett, as it's been mentioned. When I was young, I heard he worked at the selling Regal Stationery and delivering the free press. I do remember him working for Newsham's Bakery, Courage Transportation, and San Antonio Gold Mine. He left Bissett at approximately 20 years old to pursue bigger and better things in life. And Monty always had ambitions and dreams. However, Monty's heart always remained in Bissett. All his life, he kept close contact with his many childhood friends, and there's a lot of them here today. He was a founding member of the Bissett Historical Society and was president from the beginning until his passing. We thank the Historical Society for keeping him in that position for the last couple of years because he was unable to attend the meetings. But he truly loved going to the meetings and socializing with his longtime friends. After leaving Bissett, one of his first jobs he had was working on the construction of Highway 59, like Jack had mentioned, and he was always proud that he was part of building that highway. And when I came out today, I noticed something's in pretty bad shape, so don't blame Monty for that. When he arrived in Winnipeg, he worked for an ice manufacturing plant called Ace Ice. Do you remember that, Jack? He was making and delivering bags of ice to many businesses. I think that's the prelude to the selling ice in the stores and all that. It was one of the beginning of it. Anyways, he had a business card, and on the back of the business card was the Ace of Spades. I remember playing blackjack with Monty, and he always had an Ace of Spades to win, until 2 of them showed up on the table at the same time. He also worked at the Dew Line in a place called Clinton Point up in the Northwest Territories. He worked at the Brooklands Hotel, like Jack had mentioned, in Winnipeg as a waiter. This is where he learned about the hotel industry and gained the confidence to try his hand at owning and operating a hotel. In 1965, Monty and Jean got married. This was really something for me. My big brother getting married. I think I was only about 12 years old or 13 years old. We loved Jean from the beginning, and she managed to harness the wild horse. They were blessed with 3 children, Laurie, Brenda, and Grant, who you will hear from shortly, and you've already heard from. They also have 3 grandchildren, which they tended to spoil at all opportunities. Monty learned how to drive in the set on the gravel roads. Over a couple of his younger years, he managed to smash up numerous cars, including some of his and some of our dad's. His first crash was rolling a car on the Bissett Road at one of the S-turns. Apparently he fell asleep at the wheel. He was in the middle of the night, apparently. Monty and his passenger, who I can't recall who it was, were both hurt in the rollover. Somehow, Monty pulled the back seat out of the car and placed the other fellow on it until help arrived. He did acquire the nickname Crash for a while. In Winnipeg, he was hired to drive a bus for Winnipeg Transit. Good thing they didn't have abstracts back then for driver's abstracts, in those days, or he may not have got the job. On one bus trip, he was transporting some dignitaries and news media in Winnipeg. He was going down a street, which I believe was Wellington Crescent, which was an area he was not to take a bus. When he went down to the St. James Bridge, the ramp there going to Academy Road, the bus got stuck. He had all the passengers moved to the back of the bus to free it up. The next day, the media reported this in the Winnipeg Free Press. I'm not sure if he ever got reprimanded for that. Not satisfied with driving the bus, Monty and Jean ventured into operating 2 hotels. The first one they leased was the Hotel San Antonio in Bissett from 1975 to 1978. They were quite successful and then bought the Birchwood in 1979. Again, they were very successful due to hard work and a great combination of Jean's great cooking and Monty's personality running the bar. While at the hotel, they had a mobile home put in for staff to live in while working at the hotel. The mobile home caught fire with 2 young girls inside. Monty entered the home while it was burning and managed to save one of the girls. For this act of bravery, he received the Manitoba Lieutenant Governor's Award for Bravery. And if you look at the pictures down there, you'll see him being presented that award. Monty and Jean retired from the hotel and made Bel Air their lifelong home. To keep busy, they both continued in a variety of different jobs. Monty worked for Manitoba Parks for a while, had a stump grinding business. He tried politics as a council for Armin Alexander, which I don't think he enjoyed. Removing skunks and unwanted pests for people, selling bird feed, raiding the hotels in Manitoba, and possibly others I can't recall. I met someone from Victoria Beach, and he called Monty the unofficial mayor of Bel Air. Monty loved his antique cars. He owned a number of them over the years. One in particular was the 1942 Dodge Business Coupe, which was once owned by a family in Charleswood, which was a former employer of my father's. Monty had it totally restored and it looked beautiful. He never did tell Jean how much that cost to restore it. Sadly, that car and his 1966 Chrysler 300 convertible were destroyed in a fire. Later, he purchased the 1968 Dodge Monaco convertible, which passed everything but gas stations, and that's the car right down there. It lights gas. Monty always said, when he was young, he was a cool guy in an old car. And when he got older, he was an old guy in a cool car. Monty loved his sports. He played golf, which I'm told he was not very good at. Right, Rob? He curled up until his knees would not let him anymore, but his true passion that he really excelled at was playing baseball. He was a windmill pitcher and was in demand by many teams to play for them. He was very good. And he is in the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame. He also loved to feed the birds and the deer. At night, I've seen at least a dozen deer at his feeder. The bears also loved him for breaking into his shed and stealing the bird feed, leaving Monty totally frustrated. He also had a love for smaller animals, like cats and dogs. He fed a wildcat, which he named Killer, because he chased away the deer all the time. In the summer of 1967, I stayed in Monty and Jean's while working a summer job in Winnipeg. He made me go to the backyard. This was on Avalon Road when they were living there. He made me go to the backyard every day so we could practice pitching and get a warm-up. That year, they won the championship of the league. Monty told me it was partly because of the daily warm-ups that helped them win it. Only trouble is, I didn't get in the team picture. A couple of funny stories here. Every time Monty went to a restaurant, the first thing he would say to the server was, "I'll have a bowl of turtle soup and make it snappy." The joke wore itself out. Anyways, Monty, Jean, Pat, and I went to a restaurant in Grand Marais. I don't remember the name of it. Monty and Jean had been there many times, and they knew Monty's joke. He orders a bowl of turtle soup and make it snappy. The waitress brings him a bowl of water and 6 plastic turtles. Monty almost fell off his chair from laughing, and I'm sure everyone knows many of Monty's jokes. Monty bought himself a nice boat. I don't think he had it very long. It had an inboard motor and he had all the upholstery covered. It really looked nice. One day he hooks up and heads down the highway. All of a sudden, the boat is passing Monty in the ditch. Unfortunately, it was a total wreck. So I asked Monty, I says, "What happened to your boat?" His response, "I don't want to talk about it." That ended that discussion. And for those of you who have trailers, remember to put the latch down and hook up the safety chains. Monty and Jean have always loved to entertain family and friends. They were the ultimate hosts. When you arrived at their home, Monty made sure you had a beverage of your choice in your hands, and Jean always prepares a meal to satisfy any appetite. Monty would put on his favorite music for you to enjoy. Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Al Jolson, Frankie Lane, all the others that we have all tried to forget. For many years, they hosted the local children in their swimming pool, feeding them hot dogs and pop. Monty loved to entertain. I'm sure he is now telling his jokes to a whole new audience. Rest in peace, Monty. I already miss you and your corny jokes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for that. That was great. Our next performer is coming up. This is Mr. Albert Kelch, who again has performed many times at Birchwood, and I think he probably has heard a few of the Monty jokes that are embedded in his brain. So everybody welcome Albert.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here doing this. Thank you to the family for asking me to do it. And my contract said I can only do one song, so I'm going to do 2 short songs, which will add up to one song. The first song I'm going to sing, I just want to say one thing about Monty as a friend. He was my friend. He was also a music promoter of live music, just amazing. I don't know if you know this, but he somehow, and I still don't even know, I meant to ask him, how he got Pete Best. I don't know if you know who Pete Best is. He's the original drummer of the Beatles, so Ringo took him over. And at the same time, he arranged for me to sit in with him, that's Monty. He was always promoting people. It was great. And he'd also break into smile in a most Broadway kind of a thing. So here it is. Smile when your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. Although the clouds in the sky you'll get by. If you smile through your tears and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on smiling. Smile, what's the use in crying? You'll see that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. And here's one, if you want to sing it with me, it'd be great. I know everybody hates compulsory sing-along songs, but this is a good one. We'll meet again. I don't know when, I don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies chase the cloudy skies away. Won't you please say hello to the folks that I know and tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know when you saw me go, I was singing this here song. Sing it with me. We'll meet again. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Love you, Monty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. That was great. Perfect songs for Dad. Next, we're going to have a prayer done by Mr. Stuart McPherson. But I have to say, Stuart McPherson.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you for asking me to say the prayer. Before I do, everybody knows here Monty in a different way. We all had our different contacts with him. He is known for his corny jokes, but he had a deeper side. And usually they say still waters run deep. Monty wasn't still waters. He was the raging thing. But there's a thing over there that he wrote when he was in hospital. I urge you to You're bad. You're bad. I urge you to go and read it. So let's just bow our hearts in prayer. This is a prayer from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 42 to 44. Our earthly bodies are planted in the ground when we die, but they will be raised to live forever. Our bodies are buried in brokenness, but they will be raised in glory. They are buried in weakness, but will be raised in strength. They are buried as natural human bodies, but they will be raised as spiritual bodies. Father God, we stand humbly before you in thankfulness for the life of Monty Vialoux. We are thankful for his humor, his love for his family, his love for others, his love of baseball, antique cars, and his community commitment. We are thankful to have known him. We are thankful to have laughed with him and to have played with him. And now his spirit has returned to you, Father, from whence it came. Keep him close, Lord, until we are all reunited in heaven. We pray as always in the name of your loving Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. And I return the mic to Lori and Brenda.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Well, the three of us are up here. Don't look at Mom. Don't look at Mom. Don't look at Mom. This is the fun part. We all have a little stories to tell here, so Brenda's going to start with her first story.
So I'm going to focus on Monty the father. Monty the father taught us all to work hard, to be enthusiastic in everything that we did, and to always appreciate a good joke, and even if it was at your own expense. He failed miserably with Grant, Monty the father was intent on broadening our horizons in the arts, with the hopes of having refined, civilized children. Failed again miserably. And he did that through picking up books at the library for us. He took us to theater. He took us to the symphony. And this is where I'm going to focus my stories, because it didn't always have the impact that Monty would have wanted. One night he took us to the theater. It was a musical. Took us out for a nice meal. Monty had a few wines, a few too many. We went to the theater. He stepped out of his station wagon, and he had a massive oil stain on his tan slacks. He started climbing up the steps at the theater. He tripped, and he used some woman's bum to balance himself. That was his entrance. During one of our many symphony engagements, he fell asleep. The buzz of intermission woke him up. He looked at Lori and I, and he said, "Your girls want to go to the bar?" And then he says, "Don't tell your mother, these tickets were really expensive." He picked me up for one of these events, told me to wait at the corner of the street. So I stood there waiting. He pulled up slowly. He looked at me and he goes, "How much?" That was Monty. Sometimes you learn by example, Dad. That's why we are classy. I just wanted to say those few things. Grant's gonna say a few words, and it's good. Thank you.
I need my glasses. Grant's getting old. Contrary to what some people think, I'm not going to roast my father at his own funeral, so that's not happening. Yeah, I am totally. First of all, I just want to say thanks to everybody that came. Like, this is unbelievable. You guys have been so amazing through all this. It's been great. Son of a bitch. Okay, and that's as sappy as I'm getting. Dad always loved to make people laugh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell some stories that you're probably going to find pretty funny, because I'm sure you've probably never heard them before. Can you hear me? Okay. So Dad was the worst golfer in the history of golf. We went out and had lots of games together. We had lots of fun. He would take myself, my cousin Dean, friends of mine out, and he would always pay for golf, and we'd have a great time. And then we'd always go back to the bar, and he always said the same joke every time. He would always, somebody would say, how'd you golf, Monty? And he'd go, "I hit 2 good balls today. I stepped on a rink." That was his classic joke for golf. And I guess it passed down to me because I'm the second worst golfer in the history of the game. But Dad couldn't hit a golf ball for his life, but he could throw a baseball like you couldn't believe. And I was always trying to get him to play baseball, like throw the ball to me and stuff like that, and he was always so busy. But every once in a while he would. And we were out in the yard, and I was about maybe 12, and he was throwing the ball to me, and he could throw a windmill so fast. And my mom looks out the door, and she's like, "Slow down, you're gonna hit him, you're gonna hurt him." And I don't know what they just fought about earlier that day, but he looked at me and it's like, vengeance. And I'm standing there shitting myself, holding my glove like this, and all of a sudden his arm just moved a little bit. There was a, and then whack. And I'm looking at him, and it was right there that I realized my dad doesn't like me very much. Because, like, I think he tried to kill me, like right there. So, Dad used to say all the time when people would ask him how he's doing, he'd say, "Oh, doing great, got 3 kids, 1 of each." So, I know I'm the boy. I got my money on Lori on that. Dad was accident prone. Uncle Doug mentioned that he was one of the few guys you've ever heard of that actually lost his boat and trailer and passed him down the highway, but he did it twice. Not just once, he did it twice. I don't know if some of you remember, but in front of the Birchwood, there was the big windows. And my dad used to get the tamarack trees, and he would line them up with Christmas decorations, and then he'd sprinkle water from the ceiling or from the roof, and it was beautiful, brilliant icicles, and it looked really, really good. Well, anyway, my job was to go in the bush with him and find these trees. So one day we're going to find the perfect tamarack trees, and we're in the bush right by the highway, and my dad's cutting this tree down, and it just wouldn't fall, and it was hung up in another tree, and he's pushing, and he's getting more mad, and he finally he's like, screw this, and he walk away to about 15, 20 feet away, cut down another tree, it falls, but it's still not falling, it's just sitting there. And it was hung up on the hydro line. So then sparks, arcs, brilliance, holy shit. So my dad just looks at me and he goes, not a goddamn word. And he said, let's get the hell out of here, let's go get some soup. So we went to the Birchwood and we were standing there and the power had come back on finally, and then an hour later the power went off again. And then the hydro guys came in for dinner once the hydro was back on again. And they're talking to my dad, and he's like, they're going, yeah, must have been kids or something. Because the second tree fell on the line. That's where it was cut. Well, that was the tree we cut and it didn't fall. It finally fell, and the first tree that we tried to cut finally fell, landed on the hydro line, blew the hydro line again. And my dad just looked at me, shaking his head, and I'm going, Kate, I'm learning some pretty good words. Bargaining chips and whatnot. Never did get to catch them in, but the police got involved. It was really fun. So my dad had a greenhouse in the basement of the Birchwood, and he had this green thumb. Everybody, he could grow anything. And so my mom acquired some tomato plants. I don't know if some of you have heard this story, but he had these tomato plants, and my mom wanted him to, or these tomato seeds, my mom asked him to grow in the basement garden. So he had these puppies like 6 feet tall, no tomatoes. And he's pissed off, like, where's the tomatoes? Like, what's going on? Why are there no tomatoes? He's getting more and more mad. These these plants were just beautiful. And anyway, above the Birchwood is where we grew up, and my parents used to host some friends for drinks or dinner or whatever, and on one occasion they had some RCMP officers and even a judge up there. And he wanted to take these people down to the basement to show them these beautiful tomato plants that aren't growing tomatoes. So then my mom's like, Monty, no, you can't take them down there. He's like, why not? That's marijuana. So this was like in the 80s when it was really illegal and zero tolerance. So my dad's, what the hell? So he didn't take anybody down to the basement, and those plants disappeared really fast. But all the things that Dad did, one of the stories that he told me that I laughed, and I still laugh at, was if you're not familiar with this community, we have something called Christmas in July. My dad would dress up as Santa Claus and take the convertible and go and entertain the kids. And he loved doing that. But he also liked driving around in the convertible with a present that Brenda gave him, which was a blow-up doll. So he would drive around all the time in that car with a blow-up doll beside him. He loved it. So one day he's going to do this Christmas in July thing, dressed as Santa Claus with the blow-up doll beside him. And he pulls into Traverse Bay Corner and starts talking to people, whatnot. And a few years later, he had taken a job with the Hotel Association, rating hotels, 5-star, 4-star, whatever. And he was in Churchill. And he's sitting at the bar having a beer. He starts talking to this guy. And he's like, oh, where are you from? My dad says, a place called Traverse Bay. He goes, you know what? I've been to Traverse Bay. I was there a few years ago and I saw the strangest thing I ever saw in my life. Some creepy old man dressed as Santa Claus driving a convertible with a goddamn blow-up doll beside him. My dad's like, yeah, that creepy old man was me. So he told the guy about Christmas in July and what it was all about, and he automatically got a new friend. But yeah, I could sit up here and tell stories for hours about my dad, but he definitely made an impact. He left his footprint, and there's not many people that don't have a fun story about him. So, thank you.
I'm just so impressed that Brenda and I have like written notes and yours are typed up. That's pretty impressive.
Brian can type.
All right, well, I'm the final. And I would like to first give my thanks to so many people in this community that have been part of our lives for so many years, in so many different ways. And I thank you. This is an awesome community to grow up in. And I can tell by seeing all your faces that you are great friends. I'd also like to thank people who helped to make this happen. First off, the Merrymakers. If you don't know about this group, they've been in existence here in our community for over 70 years. And Lynn, who has been heading it for many years, helped to make this an easy access for us. And I thank you for everything that you do. I'm not gonna cry. Secondly, just the Beaches Community Center. My dad, the old community center, my dad was president, but he did so much, like he just wanted to do so much for that community center, and he was so dedicated. And now we have this beautiful facility. But Bruce and Raymond and Mike Laze, again, helping to set up all the tables, the sound system, just everything, that was just something that you can't get anywhere else but a small community. My friend Anna, who had pulled through for me today. Big time. Because I did the slideshow, but don't have a clue how to run it, and Anna figured things out for me, and thank you for that. And Coriello, yes, our second tech here that was trying to figure out what the hell I did wrong. And my cousin Richard Vialoux, who's been live streaming this so that family members that couldn't come today are able to watch. All our world travelers that came today, family, Karen and Angela, that I haven't been able to say hi to yet. Hi. And anybody else that had a ways to go, we appreciate the fact that you took the time to come here to honor my dad. What did I do wrong? You're crying?
No.
Oh, you?
I came along with.
Oh, right. That's
So
right.
easy to forget about Brenda.
The Walsh Vialoux family for coming here. Lise from Sappy's, who didn't hesitate when we asked her, would you cater this event? We want hamburgers and hot dogs. And she said, absolutely. And I thank you and Jerry for being here, and Derwin. You're cooking also. Awesome. Stuart McPherson, Perry Shannon, Albert Kelch, you know what? Thank you. Again, not a hesitation when I asked you if you would come up here and do something for him. And yeah, I really do appreciate that. To everyone who took the time to give their condolences, give a hug, a card, a phone call. Again, to feel that much love is just overwhelming. You cannot, until it happens to you, it's no crying in baseball.
No crying.
The love that you feel for people is just unbelievable. Okay, so now this brings me to the lessons that I would like to share about my father. If on the program, on the back, there's a poem that Dad had framed that we used because it explained him to a T. And the words, the contest lasts a moment, though the training takes years. My dad has been training me and my family. Our lessons and they're priceless. He did not ever micromanage us. He wanted us to learn the lessons from our mistakes. And I appreciate that so much because I have learned so much from him. Some of them include never give a 10-year-old a shotgun to shoot. It will not go well. I've had one nose job. Always, always chain your boat to the hitch when you're hauling it, and that's come up twice now. Never meow in a Chinese restaurant. Yeah, that gets things moving real fast. The bear will always win. He tried everything in his power to win against that bear. No, don't even try.
Except not feed the birds.
Except not feed the birds.
That's the only thing he didn't try.
Yeah, well, I would have told him that. He wouldn't listen. Oh, no. And as Jack mentioned earlier, always give your 110% in everything you do. And last but not least, there's always a lesson to learn from every experience. And I thank you, Dad, for every lesson you have given me, and I will cherish them forever. So, that being said, from here, this is the end of your entertainment, unless anybody wants to come up here and share, because we sure do hope a few people will come and share. There is going to be burgers and dogs are being served, and we want everybody to help themselves. Plus, there's going to be tea, coffee, dainties, there's water up there. We've got everything that we thought that people would enjoy down at that end to go and see and see what my dad was all about, because there was a lot going on in that man. Thank you to my son for cleaning that car. It's shining. He did an awesome job. And Diana, because she set everything up, and my brother and sister with everything that they did to help make this happen. After the service, after we're finished eating, we invite everybody. We've already made arrangements at the Birchwood. We're going to give my dad a final toast to say goodbye. And I would really love if any and everybody, like we said, Jean's buying. But it's only draft. She's only buying pictures of draft. So that being said, thank you again, everybody, for coming out and being part of our celebration to my dad. And I wish everybody well.
Can I help you with something there?
68. It says right there on the license plate. Hey, bud. How's it going?
With draft for everybody, and once everybody's got a drink, we're gonna do a toast. So about 15, well, not 15. Come on, get those waitresses going. Tip them; they'll work faster. All right, so I'll be back up here in about 5 minutes. So save a sip or what out, okay?
Grab bags.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for coming here. I want to thank you for being in this place where my dad made his dream come true. He bought this place in '79, and all of us were raised here, and I could not imagine living anywhere else. I've got some memories that are good and bad, like Mom making us drive people that were intoxicated home. You know, we're drunk, we're like creepy men, and all he said was put a plastic bag on the seat so it just in case they pees. You know, nowadays they call Child and Family Services right away. But I guess it's what made us tough. But yeah, this was Dad's dream. In this place, he loved to entertain, he loved friends, he loved to have a beer, and I would like to give his joke that we put in the obituary. My name's Tucker, not Sucker, and cheers to my dad. Cheers to my dad.
Cheers.
Cheers to my family. Cheers. And this is where I learned to drink, in this place. Me too.